Good morning. We made it. Hardy Wisconsinites, here we are on this cold but beautiful morning after a day or two, or maybe even this morning, of digging out. So thank you for coming. How wonderful it is to be able to come in this morning and come together and be warmed by friendship, fellowship, and community. Here in this place, in gratitude for the privilege of living and gathering on the traditional territory of past and present Native peoples of the Seven Council Fires, Ho-Chunk, Kickapoo, Potawatomi, Menominee, Peoria, and Miami nations. In our work of living fully into our values, we are conscious of the history that has been erased and are beholden to learn that history and do the work of reconciliation and reparation. We are committed to being a welcoming congregation to gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, and queer plus peoples, and we know we have much work to do to live into that promise to you, and to continue to call out and address with each other and in the larger world the homophobia, violence, and injustice that continues to harm you and all of us who love you and are not separate from you. And as an anti-racist community, we acknowledge that racism throughout our society leads to the violent deaths and oppression of Jews, Black, and Indigenous peoples, and other people of color. May we commit again and again and again to do the hard work of dismantling white supremacy culture in our hearts, in our community, and in our world. Our community of UUCW expands beyond these walls, of course. To those of you who are joining us virtually, hello, thank you for being here. Wherever you are, right now, whatever your age and color and gender, your pronouns, abilities, and disabilities you hold, however you define family, whomever you love, and with all the many cultures that move in your history and being, whatever your sacraments and chosen beliefs, you are welcome here. We unite in UU principles, called to work for justice, in covenant, and in the spirit of love. We welcome all of you. I am Lynn Capitan. My pronouns are she and her, and I joyfully serve on your board of trustees. I've also served on the stewardship team for many years, and I have learned there, and with all of my experiences in this community, how deeply UUCW is loved by you as a community of spiritual seekers who are here on this day of deep listening into the wisdom and faith of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I feel you traveling alongside me in this world of difficulty, keeping me and each other warm and dry and out of the waters of despair. The gift of liberating love. This is our theme for January, and we'll be hearing more from Reverend Julian in today's service. And now, just to make everybody feel a little more oriented, let me share a few housekeeping things. If you are new to UUCW this morning, a warm welcome to you. You are invited to fill out the welcome side of the yellow form you received when you came in and visit the newcomers table in the community room after the service, where you can ask questions and pick up information. And if you're online and want to connect, please email us at visitor@uucw.org. We are a multi-generational community with ways for all ages to participate. So our nursery opens each week at 9:45. Our religious education classes begin after the story for all ages in the service, and our youth group meets every Sunday at 11:30. And every Sunday and always, all ages are welcome here in the sanctuary. And we have a worship exploration table over there. If you, like me and you guys over there, need to have something in your hands to listen better. I know that works for me. I'm sure it works for others. Please feel free to join our little folks over there if you need to. Later in the service, we will share joys and concerns, and those of you online are invited to participate. If you'd like Reverend Julian to light a candle for you, you can send her a text. And finally, let me call attention to the announcements page in your order of service, which we hope you will take home and refer to throughout the week. And I'll just highlight a few, because there's a lot of wonderful things. Please take a look at everything there. But number 4, come to our party. We are having a party on February 3rd. Everybody's invited, 7 p.m. UUCW is hosting a potluck celebrating our joyful community with good food, conversation, and entertainment. And number 9, very importantly, tomorrow, January 15th, from 1 to 3 p.m., is the Martin Luther King Jr. Justice Program and March. You are invited to join Reverend Newland and other UUCW people who are planning to attend. We're going to meet here at UUCW at 12:15 so we can carpool and see more information in the order of service and in the e-news. And don't forget to dress warm. And then number 12, next Sunday, January 21st, we are gathering for a conversation about social justice at UUCW to ramp up our commitment and take a look and energize our social justice program going forward. Bring a potluck item for lunch and stay from 12:30 to 2:30. And finally, I have an announcement that's not printed in your order of service. It's from our ministerial search team, drum roll. And what they say is, thank you, great. And what they say is that after a quieter time during the January or December holidays, they are busy again. In what is now a time of discernment, when they review the ministerial records of applicants who are interested in UUCW, by which I assume there are applicants who are interested in UUCW, and then in the coming weeks, in the next few weeks, they are going to be holding Zoom interviews with possible applicants and complete initial reference checks and those kinds of things to narrow the field as we continue in the search process. And I'm sure that they will be giving us more updates as we go forward, but stay tuned. Exciting times are coming. So now that we have the business of coming together squared away, let's all settle in and center ourselves as we enter this time of attending to matters of worth.
Thank you, Lynn. As Lynn said, our theme for this month is the gift of liberating love. And this morning on MLK Jr. Sunday, we're looking at his ideas about the relationship between love and power and what together they can make possible in the world. Our opening words are those of Christian Schmidt, who calls us to wake up. Let us wake up, not just from the Sunday morning exhaustion, from the wish for a few more drowsy minutes in bed. Let us wake up to this world we live in, to its beauty and its wonder, and also to its tragedy and its pain. We must wake up to this reality, that not all in our world have what we do. We must wake up to this reality that not all is in our world is what we have to do, but there is something for us to do, however much or little that is. We must wake up to the idea that our wholeness, our lives, are only as complete as the lives of those around us, of those we are inextricably tied to in a great web of mutuality of which all of us are part. We must stay woke, in the words of our friends and colleagues involved in Black Lives Matter, working every day for racial justice in our country. Let us wake up, let us stay awake, let us stay woke. And with those words, let us worship together. We're going to begin by lighting our chalice.
Hello. When Unitarian Universalists, is that on? Okay, sorry. When Unitarian Universalists gather, we light a chalice. If you're joining us online, we invite you to create a similar light there as your contribution to this communal sacred fire. Please join me in reading our chalice lighting words written for this occasion by Ada Amakraba. Spirit of life, we have come here together to remember what some are intent on making us forget. To remember a man who fought to end segregation. To remember a man who marched to counter prejudice and oppression. To remember a man who was filled with peace and hope. To remember a man with promise and a dream. To remember a man with a voice that rang out for justice and freedom. All these things we remember and honor in the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., and a life well lived in service to all. May it be so. With these words calling us to remember, we light our chalice.
Oh, I want that. Thank you.
You get that one.
So now we're going to sing together, and for us, going to learn a little Zulu. Ruben's going to lead us in learning and singing Sifa Mandala, which is number 172. So please rise in body and our spirit to sing and listen to Ruben's instructions.
Let's learn some Zulu first. So I'll take you line through the song. I'll read it and then you can repeat it back to me. We'll see if you get comfortable with this. So the first line is Sifaman Kosi. Sifaman Kosi. Good. Let's do it again. Sifaman Kosi. Perfect. Sifaman Kosi. We're getting there. The next one is Wokunge Sabi. Wokunge Sabi. One more time. Wokunge Sabi. Good. This next one we already know. Sifaman Kosi. Sifaman Kosi. And the last one is Siyawa Dinga. Siyawa Dinga. Mostly phonetic. So line by line, here's what they sound like sung. Repeat after me. Sifaman Kosi. Here we go. Sifaman Kosi. Good. Let's do that one more time. Sifaman Kosi. Good. Here's the next one. Take a listen. Wokunge Sabi. Here we go. Wokunge Sabi. Here's the next one. Sifaman Kosi. One more turn. Sifaman Kosi. And the last one. Siyawadinga. And Siyawadinga. Good. Let's do that whole thing through a little slowly once. Great. So here's how we sing it. We'll do Zulu, verse 1 in English. Back to the Zulu, verse 2 in English. Back to the Zulu. So we'll sing, alternate each English line with some Zulu. We begin and end with the Zulu. I think we're ready. Here we go. Sifaman Kosi, Wokunge Sabi. Sifaman Kosi, Siyawadinga. Oh God, give us power to rip down prisons. Oh God, give us power to lift the people. Sifaman Kosi, Wokunge Sabi. Sifaman Kosi, Siyawadinga. Oh God, give us courage to withstand hatred. Oh God, give us courage not to be bitter. Sifaman Kosi, Wokunge Sabi. Sifaman Kosi, Siyawadinga. Oh God, give us power and make us fearless. Oh God, give us power because we need it. Sifaman Kosi, Wokunge Sabi. Sifaman Kosi, Siyawadinga.
Good morning. If anyone would like to come up a little closer to see the pictures better, we do have some cushions and a blanket here on the floor. And while those people get settled, I will let you know that my name is Dave Cicero. My pronouns are he and his. And I serve as the Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at Unitarian Universalist Church West. So for today's story, I'm going to read a book that's part of a series called Little People, Big Dreams. Its title is Martin Luther King Jr. It's the story of someone with whom many of us are familiar. Now, Dr. King, as a young boy, came to understand that he had the power to help change things that he understood were wrong. Now, that boy grew up to become a powerful leader and the man we remember on this holiday weekend, and whom we do our best to follow still, every day. Now, this version of the story was written by Maria Isabel Sanchez Vigara, who created the Little People, Big Dreams series, now published by the Quarto Group. Illustrations are by Mai Lee Degnan. Little Martin was a spiritual boy from Atlanta who came from a long line of preachers. His dad was a preacher, his uncle was a preacher, his grandfather was a preacher. Maybe he'd become a great preacher too. Now one day, a friend invited him over to play. Martin was shocked when he was asked to leave because he was black. Now that day, he realized something terrible was going on. This terrible thing was called segregation. That meant that public places, like restaurants, and buses, had separate spaces for black and white people. Martin and his friend were sent to different schools. That'd be pretty sad, I think. Martin believed that one shouldn't remain silent or accept something if it's wrong. He promised himself that when he grew up, he'd fight injustice with the most powerful weapon of all. Any guesses what the most powerful weapon is, at least according to Martin? It's words. Now, Martin studied at universities in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. And there he read about Mahatma Gandhi, the man who improved the lives of millions of Indians with peaceful methods of protest. When he finished his studies, Martin moved to Alabama and became the pastor of a church in Montgomery. Every Sunday from his pulpit, he encouraged his congregation to speak up about things that mattered. One evening, a woman named Rosa was arrested for refusing to give up her seat to a white man on the bus. That was against the law at the time. Now, Martin asked the people in his community not to take the bus again until that law was changed. Many citizens were inspired by Rosa's story and Martin's words. Suddenly, buses were almost empty, and they stayed empty for more than a year until segregation on Montgomery's buses finally ended. It was the first major civil rights action in America, but not the last. Martin encouraged people all over the country to stand up for their rights and join in with peaceful protest. Now, they were often attacked, and Martin was arrested 29 times. But he and his followers never fought back with force. He knew that hate can't drive out hate. Only love can. Martin helped to organize a protest march on Washington, where he gave a life-changing speech. It began with 4 simple yet powerful words. I have a dream. And the next year, Martin became the youngest person to win the Nobel Peace Prize. His words of hope, peace, and justice called the nation to change its laws and make them equal for everyone. I'm going to add just a little something here before I finish the story. If the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. were still alive, he'd be getting ready to celebrate his 95th birthday. That's old, right? But I know a few people that old. Maybe you do too. Well, one reason that Dr. King is not turning 95 tomorrow is that when he was only 39, he was killed by a white man and by the force of a gun. Something Dr. King never supported using while he was alive. Remember, he believed that love, not hate, is what creates change and frees people from unjust or unfair circumstances. I often wonder what words Martin would be sharing today and what actions he would be leading if he were still alive. And so the book ends. If you listen to your heart, you can still hear little Martin asking you to keep his dream alive. A dream of a world where we're judged by our character and not by the color of our skin. Now, Martin's dream is shared by Unitarian Universalists and by Christians and by Hindus and people of many other faiths. But I'm sorry to say that his dream is not yet the reality for everyone in this country. There are times when people, even in our own community, are treated very poorly. Not because of what they think and feel and do, that's their character, but because their skin is a darker shade of brown than others. And so another thing I wonder is, going forward, what loving words and peaceful actions will we use to help make Dr. King's dream become reality for all people? At this point, Lenore has agreed to come light the RE lantern that's here by our chalice. So I'll ask her to come up and do that. And when she does, I'll ask everyone else to please join me in singing our children's recessional while Lenore leads the children and youth here today out of the sanctuary to their spaces for today's RE activities. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go, as you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go.
So this winter, in order to expand on the meanings ingrained in our new mission statement, we're inviting folks to share letters to the future, letters which might express how you hope our efforts and dreams today impact those who will follow us. And any of you can share your thoughts in that way, either by speaking on a Sunday or maybe writing something to be included in the e-news. And please let me know if you'd like to do that. There's lots of opportunities. Today Susan Foley was going to share, but she's still snowed in, so she won't be here. So we'll catch that next week or in the coming weeks soon. So let's enter now a time of quiet and reflection, a time to consider love's liberating power, a time to invite self-love to enter our beings. These meditative words, "Getting Through This Day," were written by Teresa Hardy. I got out of bed this morning because of all those who had to get out of bed before me. Martin and Coretta, the day after his home was bombed, what did they tell the children? My father, every day of his young life in Lowndes County, Alabama. John Lewis, after narrowly escaping death on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. My ancestors who were dragged to the U.S. in chains, laid flat like chattel on ships and survived. They survived and got out of bed each morning. I am sick and tired and grieving and ready to quit this country. But I got out of bed, shamed by the thought of letting these ancestors down. For now, that's how I'm getting through this day. Again, those are the words of Teresa Hardy. How are you getting through the day? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What concerns or celebrations must you attend to? And maybe what of that would you like to share with this gathered community? In a moment, you'll be invited to come to this mic to share aloud. If you're online and you'd like me to light a candle for you, you can send me a text. And what is shared aloud here today is just for the ears of those who are gathered. It won't be posted in the video of the service. And whatever you share in writing, if you've got one of those yellow slips or if online you want to use the QR code on the order of service, it'll be shared as you indicate. You can choose in the e-news, to be shared with our lay pastoral care team, with just me, or even to be read the next Sunday. So if you'd like to share aloud, come here to the candles, or if you wish to remain seated, perhaps the usher will bring you a mic. I shouldn't say perhaps, they will. Mary's ready to do that there, so if you raise your hand, she'll do that. I'll light a candle for you, and after each sharing, I invite you all to respond with me. We hold you in love. So please come. Of course, we light a candle for, I'll just use this one to say that this is just for Martin Luther King Jr. Day that we're celebrating today, for his life, his courage, the legacy he leaves with us. I also just want to acknowledge again all the folks that are online. We do hold you in love and appreciate that you're here with us. And I will light one final candle for all that we hold in our hearts, the things that go unspoken, with the prayer that they be held gently there and that you know that you are surrounded in love and care. In a moment, we're going to sing together, but first let's spend just a few moments in silence to hold all that has been shared. This time in stillness and silence, we hold ourselves and each other in love. I invite you to sing with me number 403, Spirit of Truth, of Life, of Power. We'll sing it slowly and with feeling, and you may remain seated.
Spirit of truth, of life, of power, we bring ourselves as gifts to thee. Oh, bind our hearts this sacred hour, in faith and hope and charity.
Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin, sorry. Forgot my clicker, so I messed her up back there. She thought I was moving to another mic. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had some really revolutionary ideas about love and power. Let's listen to him.
What happened is that some of our philosophers got off base. And one of the great problems of history is that the concepts of love and power have usually been contrasted as opposites, polar opposites. So that love is identified with a resignation of power and power with a denial of love. It was this misinterpretation that caused the philosopher Nietzsche, who is the philosopher of the will to power, to reject the Christian concept of love. It was the same misinterpretation which induced Christian theologians to reject Nietzsche's philosophy of the will to power in the name of the Christian idea of love. Now we got to get this thing right. What is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive, and that love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best. Power at its best is love, implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is love correcting everything that stands against love.
Too often, love is identified with a resignation of power, and power with a denial of love. What is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive, and that love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power, at its best, is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice, at its best, is love correcting everything that stands against love. I could just stop right there, right? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words are so powerful, so provocative, that we could individually ruminate on them for the rest of the morning, the day, heck, the year, and not really need any other input or words. And yet I'm going to go on, at least for a little while, that my ruminations might contribute to yours, and in the hope that as we come to better understand that relationship between love and power, we can better participate in the transformation of the world. I have to say that preparing for today's service was a little bit like walking through a field of rabbit holes, each of them promising enlightenment about some aspect of Martin Luther King's life and work, or about the perils of power, or the potent power of love, or about transformative change theory grounded in the combination of love and power. And there were also rabbit holes that warn of whitewashing MLK, or of furthering white supremacy culture by appropriating his work. The field before me seemed immense and the rabbit holes many. I have to say I tripped in a few, fell into some, avoided others, resulting in what might be an underdeveloped understanding of love and power, one that I don't think we might be able to really get until we're able to live into it more fully. You know, when addressing this topic, MLK's wisdom on love and power, we must remember the context of his life. You know, his whole existence was wrapped up in the civil rights movement and grounded in the real life experience of people who are marginalized and persecuted and excluded. And his work was trying to understand and thereby to change the systems that cause racism and segregation. He was speaking, he was preaching about societal change writ large at a time when, like now, there was a virulent white nationalist movement. He was working toward a nonviolent and transformational revolution. And as much as his words resonate, you know, I also think we need to recognize that he wasn't speaking to people like me or to people like most of you here. As you know, he had a dream of a time when people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by who they are as individuals. When white and black children can join hands together. It was a huge dream, a dream for a transformed and just world. And his study and his experience had led him to believe that there are three evils permeating society: the evil of racism, the evil of materialism and poverty, and the evil of war and militarism. And these were the evils he believed could be overcome if both love and power together could be put to use in the service of justice. Now, the words we just heard him speak earlier in that video were part of a speech delivered in August 1967 called "Where Do We Go From Here?" In it, he reflects on all that had happened in the 10 years since the bus boycotts, about the victories, about blacks claiming power, about registering voters, about open housing marches and negotiating with big business for fair jobs. And for all these successes, he mourned that the Negro still lives in the basement of the Great Society. So where to go from there? Well, speaking of power, he said that first we must massively assert our dignity and worth. That is, to claim that blacks are somebodies. And he said another basic challenge is to discover how to organize our strength and into economic and political power, to work together. And it is only then that he spoke about love and power together, saying that power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. Now, you see, MLK was an ardent student of the theologian Paul Tillich, who had a lot to say about love and power. Tillich defined power as the drive of everything living to realize itself with increasing intensity and extensity. So for Tillich, positive power is this drive to achieve one's purpose, to grow. It's motivation. And he defined love as the drive toward unity of the separated. So love is the drive to reconnect and make whole that which has become or appears fragmented. Well, putting these ideas together, we could say that Tillich's vision was of a powerful love that drives us to achieve a unity in which all can flourish. So where do we go from here? It's so important to understand MLK's context, and then our work is to figure out where to go from here, from where we are now, assuming that today, here in this congregation at UUCW, in these times, assuming that we also want to help to create a new society, assuming that we also have a dream of a better world, how can these words help us? Well, I think we have to get over our fear of power, or of avoiding it because we imagine that power is always an evil. We have all witnessed power that is destructive and degenerative, and maybe it makes sense that we shy away from claiming it, but yet in reality, power is the water we swim in. You know, Hara Estref Morano, who's an editor for Psychology Today, has written that power is a basic force in every social interaction. Power defines the way we relate to each other. So the challenge is to use our power with intention and with love so that we can avoid it being abusive or reckless, but also so that we can change things, ourselves and others, help others to change. I also think that we have to get over seeing love as something that's simply dewy-eyed or hippy-dippy, or however you want to talk about love. We're putting love at the center of this faith and claiming to be grounded in love as part of UUCW's mission. So what is ours to do is to express that love in powerful ways that are neither anemic or sentimental. Adam Kahane, who has written a book about societal change titled Power and Love, says that love is what makes power generative instead of degenerative, and power is what makes love generative instead of degenerative. And so therefore, power and love are exactly complementary. Following in Tillich's thought, Kahane says that to create lasting change, we have to learn to work fluidly with these very two distinct fundamental drives that are so often felt to be in tension. Power, that single-minded desire to achieve one's solitary purpose, and love, a drive towards unity, towards justice. You know, where MLK spoke to his audience of claiming one's dignity and worth as a first step, maybe for those of us who benefit from white supremacy culture, our first step is instead to claim our interdependence, to claim it deeply, to mean it. Because when the powerful try to enact social change without this awareness, the usual results are to create more oppression. And interdependency is all about understanding that all of our relationships are part of, an ecological system in which we all exist. Those familiar words that MLK called the single garment of destiny, going on to say that we're all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, that whatever affects one directly affects all. So using power in loving ways to advance the goals of others so that we all might benefit, that's what it's all about. We're in it together. So, choosing love over power or power over love isn't the answer. We have to creatively reconcile these two things with each other to bring them into cooperation and partnership. On graphs, when you put two circles together, there's that almond shape that results from one circle joining up next to another circle. It's called a mandorla. It's thought to have a sacred significance because that space brings together two disparate and distinct things and creates a place where they interpenetrate or merge. Because in that space where different things come together, that's where there can be an alchemy that is healing and transformative. Robert Johnson, who's a Jungian psychologist, suggests that, I'm not sure what slide I'm on. We'll go here. There, that looks like maybe the mandorla. Robert Johnson, who's a Jungian psychologist, suggested that the mandorla is that place where we're encouraged to build a capacity for two otherwise competing forces that stretches us beyond our comfort zones. And in that way, it collectively creates a new space and a new relationship. In that space, we can begin to realize the dream of a new world. So this is the mandorla where power and love meet. And I think that's where we need to go, to get into that creative interchange place. At the end of his speech, MLK recites a kind of litany, saying, again, speaking to the audience gathered there, we must go from this convention and say, America, you must be born again. He then called on his followers to be dissatisfied until the tragic walls that separate the outer city of wealth and comfort from the inner city of poverty and despair shall be crushed by the battering rams of the forces of justice. He called on them to be dissatisfied until those who live on the outskirts of hope are brought into the metropolis of daily security. To be dissatisfied until every family lives in a decent sanitary home, until integration is not seen as a problem but as an opportunity to participate in the beauty of diversity. To be dissatisfied until from every city hall justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I know we love these words and we feel their power, even though some of us are not the dissatisfied but rather the comfortable. So I repeat, where do we go from here? I think the answer lies in that place of tension and discomfort and dissatisfaction where love and power meet, where we embrace our ability to be bold and courageous in the pursuit of justice for all. Because, as MLK so eloquently said, power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is love correcting everything that stands against love. So, may justice roll down like waters. May we go from this place this morning discomforted, dissatisfied, and ready to unite in power and in love. Blessed be. And amen. Anne. Oh, there you are. You're right in front of me. Come on.
Good morning, I'm Ann Heidkamp. In that same speech that we saw the excerpt from, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. also quoted words of the poet and civil rights activist James Weldon Johnson, words that became the lyrics of the song Lift Every Voice and Sing, which over time became known as the Black National Anthem. The music was written by his younger brother, composer J. Rosamond Johnson. We're going to sing that song in a few minutes. But first, I want to share Aisha Ansano's reflection on the Lift Every Voice and Sing, so that we can sing the song with more understanding of its context and more meaning for us today. Reflections on Lift Every Voice and Sing by Aisha Ansano. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is a time when particular songs get sung. One of them is Lift Every Voice and Sing. It gets sung in schools, in churches, at various MLK Day celebrations, and over the course of Black History Month. It's a very, very powerful song, but it's often sung without context, and at times it's sung without a lot of intentionality. When you sing, Lift Every Voice and Sing, do you pay close attention to the words? It's easy on a Sunday morning to open the hymnal and sing along without necessarily processing what we're saying, what the words we're saying really mean. So listen to some of them. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Bitter the chastening rod felt in the days when hope unborn had died. We have come over a way with tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. This song deserves to be sung with intention. It is a song that starkly names the horrors and violence of racism in this country, and it is a song that should make us uncomfortable with the history that it calls upon, uncomfortable with the fact that the struggle for racial justice continues and has not come quite so far as it should have by now. How can anyone sing the words, treading our path through the blood of the slaughter, without a deep, deep discomfort? So when we sing this song, will you join me in singing with intentionality? Will you join me in the deep discomfort that I will be feeling in singing those words? Discomfort with the pain and horror that those words refer to, and discomfort with the fact that those words do not only refer to distant history, but also to what is happening now. Will you commit to sitting with your discomfort, and then will you tap into that discomfort and do something? Will you lift your voice and sing until earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty?
And so let's rise in spirit and with intention to sing number 149, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty.
One of the ways that UUCW helps address human needs and advance social justice in our community is through our Split the Plate program. Our Split the Plate partner for January is Sophia, which stands for Stewards of Prophetic, Hopeful, Intentional Action. Sophia is the Waukesha County affiliate of Wisdom, a statewide network comprised of mainly of faith-based organizations that pursue issues of social justice. Sophia is an anti-racist organization. That identity permeates their organizational culture, values, norms, and behaviors. People of color lead the work they do and are always involved in the decision-making processes. With their community calendar, which is posted on their website, Sophia invites the whole community to participate in everything from blood drives and Native American ceremonies to supporting the NAACP issues of rental and home ownership in Waukesha County. To help support Sophia, go to UUCW's website Donate tab and select Split the Plate from the menu, or text or mail your donation today using the information found here. Thank you for your generosity to Sophia. We will now gratefully receive your offering.
Please join me in the words of dedication found in your order of service. To the work of this community, which is to ground ourselves in love and joy and to act for inclusion and justice, we dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings.
All that we've heard today, all that we're asked to remember, all the ways we're called to respond, emphasize that our love must be accompanied by or fueled by a liberating and persevering power. This prayer, written by Becky Brooks, speaks to that power. Spirit of life, I have witnessed a loud love, an out loud love that challenges me. I did not recognize it at first, the rumble of an ocean I had long been under. But here it is, right now, and it looks just like the whole world could be. It doesn't play nice. Why should it, when nice has only ever played it a lullaby? This love demands. A love so loud it lays rocks at the feet of children who can't find their path home, across the pipeline, any other way. This love is indifferent to tolerance. It invites you into your own heart, where God love's self has come to take tea with you. Drink, and know that like that other love, this love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Perseveres. This out loud love makes no secret of its aim to get you free. But first, set fires, throw the poison to the ground, match the love, sound for sound. Spirit of life, come and bring everyone. We're giving birth to something new.
Let's go out singing, We Shall Overcome. So inspirational and so confident. It's an African-American spiritual which has both been adopted and adapted during the civil rights movement. And the tune has even been named Martin. We sing it today with respect for all that it represents, all the histories it carries, while at the same time knowing that it's not a song we hear at Black Lives Matter actions because overcoming someday just feels too passive. So let's rise in body and our spirit to sing it with power and with hope. We Shall Overcome, number 169.
Oh,
please remain standing. Let's say together a silent word of thanks for all who made this morning possible, including all those who shoveled and plowed and warmed things up. And especially today for Lynn and Scott and Ann and Ruben and our whole staff and our volunteers and everyone who is on our hospitality teams. I invite you to join hands if that works for you for a benediction. These are the words of Mark Bellatini. Go in peace. Live simply, gently, at home in yourselves. Act justly. Speak justly. Remember the depth, the power of your own compassion, and forget not your power in the days of your powerlessness. Do not desire to be wealthier than your peers, and stint not your hand of charity. Practice forbearance. Speak the truth or speak not. Take care of yourselves as bodies, for you are a good gift. Crave peace for all people in the world, beginning with yourselves, and go as you go with the dream of that peace alive in your heart. Blessed be. Ashe. Amen.